Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. I'm here in Vegas right now for Summer League. Wanted to jump on here live and talk a little bit about the latest happenings around the NBA. If you guys haven't subscribed to the Basketball Bulletin yet over on YouTube, please make sure you do that. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. You look like you need some sleep, man. You all right?
Hey, a little bit of Vegas goes a long way. I got decent sleep, but we had a fun night last night. Let's say that.
I could tell. Yeah, I could tell. But excited to talk some basketball with you as always.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot going on around the league. We've got obviously the situation with LeBron and the Lakers. We've got an update on the Bradley Beal front that just came in from Jake Fisher. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about all the different things happening around the NBA. But once again, everybody, as we're getting into it, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel over on YouTube. We appreciate all the growth that we've seen there. You guys have been fantastic with the support. So if you don't know about the Bulletin yet, please make sure you go check it out. Covering the entire NBA over there. Go check that out. All right. Let's go. Well, here, let's start here since this comment's coming in from Keith. We're in here.
Kaminga.
Where is Kaminga going? Jonathan Kaminga. Man, so it's looking like Jonathan Kaminga, based on reporting right now, is actually going to re-sign with the Warriors, but probably not stay with the Warriors. Now, Donnie, looking at what's going on, and all the buzz out here right now at Summer League is about restricted free agency and how there's really no market for any of these guys. I think part of it is there's just no cap space out there for teams to throw big offers at these restricted free agents. And then their teams are using that kind of play hardball with and rightfully so. But so these restricted free agents are kind of stuck. And I think that's going to be the case here with Jonathan Kaminga. So he's going to re-sign with the Warriors because there aren't other options, but it's sounding like he'll probably wind up getting traded before the trade deadline. So this will be the way to kind of kick the can down the road. Kaminga gets his contract, and then the Warriors are still able to, at some point in the future, between now, he'll be trade eligible, I believe, December 15th. And so sometime between that December 15th and then February, usually about 8th or so, trade deadline window, we'll see Kaminga on the move.
Yeah, restricted free agency's got to be one of the worst places to be at if you're not a surefire extender at a high salary that you're looking for in the current NBA climate. Especially if you're winding up being a player that has that situation happen in a year, like you said, where there's not a lot of options. So the team can just be like, well, you're going to either take this or leave it. Maybe you take a qualifying offer. Maybe you take less than you wanted. But ultimately, though, Kaminga is in that situation. Same as the other guys that are out there as restricted free agents. Basically, all of them are in that situation. Giddey, Grimes, all these guys. But on the Kaminga front, yes, we did get a report earlier that it is likely that he will re-sign with Golden State, and they will look to move him by the deadline. I hope that for his sake, that's sooner than later. With that whole situation, I just keep coming back to that. Like, I don't know if he gets it with them now, but I just keep coming back to he should have probably taken that extension when it was offered this time last season to him. He bet on himself, and ultimately it didn't wind up working out. But hopefully they're able to trade him, and he winds up in a good location if they're not able to sign and trade him this offseason.
And I think he's just been, I had some drinks with a Warriors reporter last night, among a bunch of other people, and was talking a little bit about this with him, and he was like, man, it's just the fit's just not right. You know what I mean? Like the Warriors, they spent so much time on Kaminga, and this 2 timeline thing they probably should have been going all in to try to help Steph win right now and not worrying about whether or not Kaminga is going to be the guy, especially when it became pretty clear. He bet on the 3-point shooting coming around, and it actually went down this past season. It just makes a really tough fit there. They probably should have cashed him in for assets a while ago. Now they'll sign him to a new deal and see if they can do that here. But how much time did you waste with him on your roster that clearly wasn't a fit, wasn't going to work out? And now the Warriors
was better value. He was also better value earlier. Like you could have got him.
He would have been more value. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the thing with that is that they want a chip in the middle of it. So like that papers over that. So, but they probably should have, in hindsight, cut bait on him at least after last season where he had a career year. Like he was better by every metric last year.
It's been time to move on for everybody, right? This for the Warriors, for Jonathan Kaminga. It's time to move on and get this done. So people are asking here with a super chat. Trey said, "Where's the news on Melton? Why hasn't he signed anywhere yet?" It's because of this Kaminga situation. Because he's very heavily rumored to be going Melton to Golden State. Same thing with Al Horford. Well, why aren't they signed yet? because Golden State doesn't know how much money they can give them yet. They have to figure out what the Kaminga number looks like and then figure it out from there. So this is holding up all the other business for the Warriors. Once this gets done, I would imagine we see very quickly Melton and Horford to the Golden State Warriors.
Those guys must really want to go there, by the way, because they're patiently waiting this all out, while other teams could have used their production, and they are almost in a situation where it's like Golden State or bust, because that money isn't the same. Options aren't exactly the same. So there's that. But yeah, I think that this will get resolved sooner than later. Hopefully at this point, it's been a while, and those guys will be on their way to Golden State.
Yeah, I think that's where this is headed. All right, let me go into some of our other topics here we want to get into, especially I know we wanted to talk about Bradley Beal. So this was really important from Jake Fisher that just came out, that now makes sense because everybody's been asking out here, why is the Bradley Beal buyout not done? What's happening? And this is from Jake Fisher, said what's going on is that Bradley Beal gets a 25% advance payment on his 25-26 salary on July 15th. That's something teams can put into contracts. If you're a player, why not get your money sooner and ideally throw it into investment accounts and things like that, and then earn interest and get some dividend payments and things like that on that money rather than get it all spread out over the course of the year. So Beal gets 25% of his salary up front on July 15th. Well, if he agrees to a buyout and stretch right now, say today, that money, that whatever it is, $13 million would wind up getting stretched over 5 years, where if he does the buyout after July 15th, boom, he gets all that money, and then the rest of it gets stretched over 5 years. So that's why Bradley Beal's not been bought out yet. Makes a lot of sense now. They're $13 million. That's why he's not been bought out yet. So I would assume that once we hit that July 15th date, boom, the buyout's going to happen, and then all the domino effects are going to happen there. He could wind up, I think he's going to the Clippers. I think the Clippers Norman Powell trade pretty clearly shows that they believe they're getting him. But the Lakers, the Warriors, the Wolves, and the Bucks are all interested as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think this is probably a mistake on Phoenix's front. Like, I don't know that you need to get rid of him and hold that salary on the books for the duration of Booker's prime, since you've now invested all that money in Booker as well. I personally wouldn't make that decision, but it makes a lot of sense when it's laid out this way, why this hasn't happened yet. And I think this is also, to a degree, stalling out the market for some of these other players that are out there as well, because teams are interested in Beal and trying to see where he ultimately winds up going, despite it looking like all signs are pointing towards the Clippers having room for him and a space for him after that trade. And there was also another banner in there about the Clippers specifically still being interested in Chris Paul as well. So we could maybe talk about that briefly. But Phoenix is also in the market for, there was a report yesterday that they are in the market for a veteran guard to play point guard for this team. So,
well, for a little bit there, the assumption was that if Beal goes to the Clippers, then it was going to be Paul to the Suns, and maybe vice versa. Like Beal goes somewhere else, and then it would be potentially Chris Paul to the Clippers. But the Clippers made some moves that actually open up the ability to get both guys. And I don't know, like there's some redundancy there. You know what I mean? Like part of what you can do with Beal is put the ball in his hands, not full time, but at least part-time. And so I guess there is a little bit of redundancy. And how many low defensive efficiency guys do you want in one backcourt? We're talking about Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, and then you add in, James Harden. But the Clippers do have, I think, the right defensive pieces around them, Derek Jones Jr. and Kawhi, of course, and then your bigs now with Brook Lopez and Ivica Zubac at the rim. So they could still maybe make it work. But CP3, the bottom line, I think more than worrying about fit, he just wants to be family in LA, and I don't fault him. He wants to be near his family in LA. That's all well and good, but it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Like, do the Clippers really still want Chris Paul if they get Brad Beal? And if not, that then push Chris Paul to go finish his career. Remember, he's got 1 year left, and then he said he's done. So does he finish his career in Phoenix, or does he finish his career with the Clippers? It seems like it's going to be one or the other for him.
Yeah, and there was a comment that asked, didn't he say he wanted to start? That was also a thing that was out there. But if I'd have to imagine that if he goes to the Clippers, he's not going to start, or if he does start, he's more of like a token starter, 20-minute per night type of guy. Yeah. But I just can't imagine that he does, because I'd assume Beal would want to start. Obviously, Harden would start. And other than that, I mean, he gets to retire on his own terms, where he wants to be. So I think he'd value that a lot. But that may be the case, but I think he would start in Phoenix if he decided to go there. But I think that his chances of like winning that elusive title are better in the Clippers than they are in Phoenix. So maybe he cares about that too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Chat asking what's finally happening. The Beal buyout. That's what we're talking about. That's finally happening. So if you're just coming
in a couple days, so
that's
we had that report that it's 48 hours away
of when it's happening.
Yeah, we had that. It's 2 days away, and it's been 2 weeks. So, but it's finally going to be a couple days away now at this point. But Chat was asking about Russ. The last thing I heard about Russ was that he was linked to Milwaukee. So there's that.
Yeah. So that's the other piece to this, right? The whole Beal situation is it's had the effect of nerfing the market for Chris Paul, for Russell Westbrook, for Malcolm Brogdon. That's the other thing. Whenever this Beal thing finally happens, he gets bought out and then he picks his team, which probably the 15th, that could happen just a few days. It's probably when it's going to go down. So when that happens, then we're going to see that domino effect. Westbrook will land somewhere. Yeah, these guys are too good to not be on a team, but it's all the holdup because the teams that would want to sign them, maybe it's the Bucks, right? But the Bucks would rather have Beal than Russ. So until they know they're not getting Beal, they're not going to make that leap to go get Westbrook, Brogdon, any of these other guys. So those are the other moves that are out there that are just being held up right now by the Bradley Beal situation. So once that happens, boom, we're going to be off and running.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee is an interesting place. I think that Beal should probably want to go there. I think Chris Paul probably should also, in terms of like opportunity on that team, also being in the Eastern Conference. But there's something about the geographic situation. Maybe they just don't want to play in Milwaukee. But yeah, maybe Russ going there could be interesting. Or I would maybe a Brogdon because the spacing would be atrocious with Russ there, but they've got nothing but shooters the way that they like to play. They've even got a shooting five in Milwaukee, but it's just going to be really hard to play Russ with Giannis. But that's going to be some fun basketball if they do it.
Yeah. No. I selfishly, I still want Russ to the Kings just for the chaos.
Oh yeah. I forgot all about that. That kind of like fizzled away whenever they signed Schroeder and stuff, huh? Yeah.
It did. But he'll land somewhere again, and all that stuff's going to happen post Beal. Coming in from South Africa. Welcome in. People coming in from around the world. Happy to have you here. Flag versus Harper today. Yeah. So we do have that. Hopefully Harper is going to play in this one. Hasn't played yet in Summer League. I'm dealing with, I believe it was a groin issue. And then somebody else said Flag went 4 for 20. I'm not impressed. Wasn't it 5 for 21 or something?
Yeah, it was something like that. But it was all those like bump, turnaround, fade, jump shots that he's used to getting off over guys smaller than him, less athletic than him. He just needs to adjust that. He also was a decent 3-point shooter last year, but the line is different, so he was taking some of those. But when he had the ball in his hands, he got downhill, got to the rim, did whatever he wanted out there, showed good patience. Like when you watch him, I think impressed is the wrong thing to say, because looking at the box score is one thing, but if you actually watched his game, you see all of the NBA ready traits that are associated with Cooper on both ends of the court, the ball handling, everything. Like he's going to be really good. His floor is super high. So especially when that shot comes around and he learns how to get it off over NBA athletes, he's going to be good.
I mean, look, we saw Wemby shoot poorly in his first Summer League game. Right. Just a couple years ago, like that. It happens for some of these guys sometimes. And I think one of the things we need to remember too, is most of these guys who are like the top picks, they don't play. They're not playing for months leading up to the draft, because you tear your ACL, blow out your knee, right? There goes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Right. So a lot of these guys, they're training, but they're not doing a live play. And so they step onto the floor for Summer League, and this is the first actual game they've played in since the end of their college season. So it's been months. So there's going to be a little bit of rust there. My prediction is tonight, Cooper Flag shoots great, right? That he's going to be, I said he's going to shoot like 10 for 13. Something like that is going to happen, because he's not, do we buy that that's what he is as a shooter? Is a 25% shooter?
No,
if he is, then he's a bust. Then that's it. Game over, right? He's a bust if he's a 25% shooter, but no one in their right mind should think that's what he is based off of one Summer League game where he happened to have a bad shooting. I think there was enough to be excited about with his game. Is he going to be a point guard all the time, handling the ball a ton for the Mavs? No, but that's
he
what
will
they
this
want him
season,
working
I
on in
think.
summer league.
They're going to put the ball in his hands.
He will a little bit. I don't think he's going to do it all the time. His driving kick was actually really nice. He did a good job hitting guys for the corner threes. I'll say that.
He showed a good feel as a playmaker, which is really encouraging. He looks like a guy that, despite being 6'8", 6'9" in that area, that like you could put the ball in his hands and be comfortable with that, run some pick and rolls and stuff like that for him. He looks really comfortable in that role. So I'm excited about his long term.
All right, let's go. We've got a few more super chats we need to get into here. I know we both are on kind of limited timelines here, Donnie. Sash said, what would the Lakers look for in return if LeBron would be traded? The thought of getting a king's ransom is appealing. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think you're getting a king's, and I love the pun. Very well done. Very well done. But I don't think you're getting a king's ransom for LeBron if you are the Lakers. If you do wind up moving him, and maybe he does ask for a trade. You know, that ESPN article from yesterday was not super flattering in terms of what the Lakers have provided for LeBron and kind of where the situation is. I think very clearly they're not on the same page right now, the Lakers and LeBron James, in terms of what they want to do. And maybe they should be. I mean, Luka's not 19. He's 26. He should be looking to win right now too. So that's, you know, maybe a little bit concerning on that side. I get not going after older players or sacrifice everything if the move's not there. And perhaps that's simply where the Lakers are at. Maybe the move is not there right now. And if you're LeBron, you're saying, well, I don't care if the move's not there right now. You need to make the move happen right now because I don't have that much time left. And if you're Luka, you've got a little bit more ability to be, you know, patient with it. But if LeBron were to ask for a trade, yes, I think the Lakers would try to trade him. They would try to find a spot for him. No, I don't see any reason why the Lakers would buy him out. That does nothing to help the Lakers. But I think they could try to move him. But because of that no trade clause, he's 40 years old, $52 million. There's a lot of things that make it tricky to actually trade him. And so I think that would limit the market pretty significantly. So where you're not going to get a king ransom in return for LeBron James.
You will if you trade him to Sacramento.
Oh, well played.
Sacramento Kings getting played. LeBron, getting a king's ransom back. It's a perfect fit, man.
How quickly would LeBron exercise his no trade clause if the Lakers said, "How about Sacramento?"
He's gonna be like, "You got to be kidding me, right?" Like,
no.
No. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere ultimately, though. But if you were to try to trade him, you're gonna have to appease yourself. You're going to have to appease the other team getting that trade, and then you're going to have to appease LeBron. All these parties have to sign off on it. That just makes it so tricky and hard to do. We saw the Suns try to battle through that all last season with Beal, and he ultimately just said no. So on the merit of that no trade clause and the fact that LeBron doesn't actually want to leave, I feel pretty confident saying I don't think he wants to leave LA. I don't think he's going anywhere, but I do think that this is going to be his final season in LA. I'm not sure if he exits this season with another contract offer from the team on the other side of this. Certainly not a max contract.
You think 2026, LeBron tells the Lakers, hey, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to play another year. They'll say, cool, here's the MLE, something like that.
I think they value, you know what they may do is they may say, okay, well, let us see if we can make something else materialize first, and then we'll come back to you, which obviously is super disrespectful for a guy like LeBron.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I was talking about this with somebody last night. This is the first time probably in LeBron's life where he's not the most important player on his team, like ever, right?
Never,
I mean,
never happened
ever in his entire life. And so I understand like that would be, and we could say maybe the Lakers haven't handled things appropriately or the way that they should. And I'm sure no surprise if there's some hiccups with the way the Lakers proceed with stuff sometimes, which is also true of most teams. But I'm not saying we shouldn't criticize the Lakers, but this is also an uncomfortable situation for LeBron to be in and a very unfamiliar situation for him to be in. Like it makes a lot of sense for him to feel some kind of way about what the dynamic is now, because this is very unfamiliar territory for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he said all the right things about like not really like wanting the team to like understanding like the team has this other timeline they have to adhere to. But like you were saying, I don't know that they're not in a situation where you can't satisfy both parties, because it's not like they're on like two entirely separate timelines. Luka's in his prime. He's ready to win now. He was in the finals last year. Like, I think you could satisfy both parties. And I think that as long as all of the checks are met for what the Lakers want, which is like somebody that's like probably in their mid, maybe late 20s that can match Luka's timeline, a reasonable price, fits their needs. They want a lot of things and they don't have a lot of ways to get it. Maybe they could make something materialize, but I think it requires teams being willing to work with them. I think it requires, you know, Rob to be creative and maybe give up one of those things. Maybe somebody that's like 30, 31 would be okay. Or maybe get a little bit of long-term salary that you can still plan around having on your roster. They don't want that either. Like, they just want a lot of things. And so in order to get all that done, I just don't think it's out there. But I mean, we were saying the same thing about Denver, but Denver somehow pulled nothing out of something. Like they were able to turn all this other stuff with minimal assets into a better team. So I don't really know ultimately, but maybe it's just the proverbial tax going on or what happens, but I don't know. They're just in a weird spot here, and I don't think there's a way to really satisfy all this with what they currently have.
I still think for this summer, they're ultimately going to hit a point, both LeBron and the Lakers, where they look at each other and they just say, well, I mean, the best path forward, regardless of how long the future is between, you know, the two parties, the best path forward is for now. We need each other. Just LeBron needs the Lakers need LeBron. Let's move forward as is, and then go from there. Because I just don't know that the trade is out there for LeBron. There's teams, you know, opposing teams will put out there, well, we're interested if he gets bought out. Well, yeah, no kidding. Everybody would be, right?
Course.
But and no team's going to want to say, oh yeah, we'll trade for him. That there are teams that'll be interested in trading for him if that's what he wants. But it's just going to be tough to try to make something work, especially if the Lakers don't want to take on long-term salary, which that's another thing that, you know, we've certainly talked about. That is maybe not the best plan in terms of just trying to preserve cap space for the future, since Luka is ready to win right now. But I do think at the end of the day, to quote Dennis Schroeder, the Lakers and LeBron will still be together this next year. LeBron will be a Laker, and then it'll move from there. Unless LeBron really looks at the roster and says, I've got no shot, trade me to the Knicks or something like that, so I can get over to the Eastern Conference where I've got smooth sailing.
Like, who do they want? I don't know that they want OG on that contract. Maybe you're taking Mikal Bridges and matching him with a few guys. They don't want Cap probably on that contract either. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how you get a lot of deals done with these guys. The Lakers don't want those salaries.
That's
so, like, I don't know how you get most of these deals done. Like, the Cavs is a whole different thing because they have to clear space, and then they might wind up getting rid of like 6 or 7 guys in an attempt to try to bring LeBron in.
Right.
So, like, it's just I don't know. Exactly. I just don't for like 1 or 2 years. So, like, I don't know that there is anything other out there than staying. And like, people will say if he wanted to really leave, he wouldn't have opted in. Well, of course he wanted to. If he doesn't want to leave, like I said, but of course he wanted to take his money. He wasn't going to not take the money, right? Because there was no other option other than taking the money and staying where he's at, because there was no team with cap space other than Brooklyn or Washington. He wasn't going to go there either. So just kind of a weird situation to be in. Like I said, I do think he's going to stay this year out, but I genuinely don't know that if there's a contract waiting for him on the other side of this. And I think that this is them drawing a hard line in the sand to where if he actually wants to retire and go out, quote unquote, on his terms, he may have had aspirations to play a couple more years, but he may be looking at it like, if I want to retire a Laker, I may have to retire this year.
Man, that sucks. See, to me, like, I don't even know if that's the right stance for the Lakers, because LeBron is still really freaking good. Like, it's not like he's out there and he can only play 20 minutes a night and he's just not effective anymore. He's 6th in the MVP vote. I mean, this guy was still phenomenal, and people want to get mad at him for his defense and stuff. Like, good Lord. This guy is amazing, and they're acting like, oh, you know, we don't want to be part of our future long term. Again, I'm not saying that's what they've said, but yikes, man! I don't think LeBron is done. I don't think he's done. And if they're looking at it as, hey, next summer, that's it, you better retire, you're not going to be on this team. Look, the dynamic can change, and sometimes that's a bumpy road to travel. But guys have done it. Vince Carter did it. Carmelo Anthony did it. Right. I'm not saying LeBron's suddenly going to become a role player overnight, but the dynamic is changing. It's uncomfortable at first. It takes guys a little bit of time to kind of come around to it. But once they do, guys can still be very, very productive. And LeBron, if anybody's going to be productive at 40, 41 years old, it's LeBron freaking James, right? So yeah. I don't even know that the Lakers should have the stance that, 2026, we're going to move on from LeBron and completely reload around Luka. LeBron could stay in LA. You could still, the focus has already shifted to Luka, and that's fine. And that's as it should be. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to boot LeBron out the door in order to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought he did a great job of playing second fiddle to Luka, and he had been saying for years that he wanted that, and he parked his butt in the corner a lot. Like there was a lot of games where he was the third guy, not even second guy, the third guy, right? And he played a lot like a role player, playing more on the defensive end, things like that. So I don't really see where, like, for the next couple of years you can't be competitive with him on your roster, especially in a reduced role. I think that just extends him, right? Like I think that just prolongs what he can do. But yeah, they may just feel differently. Maybe they just want out of the business as a whole. It's been 7-8 years. Like I can understand that too. For all of his, great things that you could say about him, I'm sure he's exhausting to deal with. So there's that too. Behind the scenes, all that stuff. So maybe they just want out of the business. They've got the leverage. They've got a pivot point now with Luka. And while they're not exactly on the same timeline, I think that the Lakers are just going to prioritize getting more younger players on the team and going from there. But like I said, it sucks because I don't like the way it sounds like it's going on either end. I would love for them to be a championship contending team with them both on the roster this season. And if I were to tell you they had two like all NBA caliber guys on the team, you would think they would be able to do that, right? Which is also weird. Like I don't know, man. Like so,
I think I don't know, Donnie. The bottom line with all this, if you want to be mad at the Lakers for the way they've handled it, you can find plenty of ammunition to be mad at them. If you want to be mad at LeBron for the situation, you can find plenty of ammunition. And you know what? There's enough people out there that are pro LeBron, pro Lakers, whatever. Like you can get very entrenched into either side and have plenty of talking points for either party. And that's where you look at it and you go, damn, there's a lot of blame to go around here in this situation with the way things currently are. So, and I think the bottom line though is it's unfortunate because you're right. When you've got two guys the caliber of LeBron and Luka, you should be contending. You should be.
Absolutely.
And we could point finger. You can, if you want to spin it whatever way you can point fingers wherever you want. I think the truth is that there's blame to go around everywhere for the situation.
Yep, absolutely. Wanted to end on this one here because you weren't on that video with me, but what did you think about the Thunder and those new contracts that they gave out to their big three?
I assumed those were coming. I wasn't surprised by them. I think they've built in a lot of flexibility when we look at the team options that they've got for iHeart, for Isaiah Hartenstein. They've got team option on Lou Dort. They've built flexibility into their salaries, and I think they've done a really nice job with that. But they are going to have to make some tough decisions. They're going to have to make some decisions on some of these guys. Maybe they continue to just pay and they become a second-tier apron team. But I mean, Chet and J-Dub, the contracts they got, I was expecting they would get them. There will be some negative repercussions from that going the other end of it. When you start looking at how much salary you stack up, it's this collective bargaining agreement. You're not going to be able to keep all of these guys forever. And that doesn't mean they can't keep winning. They definitely can, especially if anybody's going to be able to bring in young talent on cost-controlled rookie deals. It's the Thunder with all the picks that they've got. So I'm not saying they can't keep winning, but not everybody that's on this team right now is going to stay on this team in perpetuity. They're just not. That's just going to be the reality of the situation. But I still think you needed to do this. Chet and J-Dub are your guys for the future. They're your guys that you're putting around Shea and you move forward. So I'm not surprised all the Thunder did it. And now we'll see what kind of decisions they have to make.
Yeah, you had the same stance as me. The only person I saw people really pushing back was like, I wouldn't have paid Chet all that money, but at the same time, they kind of had to. Right? So, and that's also a bet on what he can turn into during the length of that contract. So, we had a couple super chats I wanted to hit.
Let's get to our super chats here. Teddy said, if you're part of the Lakers' new ownership group, would you pursue Masai Ujiri, who's available to replace Rob? Look, if they make the decision that they're going to replace Rob or add to the front office or whatever.
Front office,
yeah. I mean, you absolutely. Masai for sure. Bob Myers for sure. Rob always says leave no stone unturned, but now it should be leave no stone unturned and leave no money on the table, man, right? Like the whole, like, we don't want to give Ty Lue a third year, whatever it was, that should no longer be a thing. Whatever, who's your top target? Go pay what it takes to get him. When you're suddenly at a valuation of $10 billion and you've got a guy that's worth $6 billion by himself now running things, you should not lose out on anybody due to money at this point. So that's what the Lakers need to do here.
Yep, I agree with you. I think I'm not like the biggest Rob guy. I think he's had a lot of missteps throughout his tenure, and I thought he sat on assets way too long during the LeBron AD run. But at the bare minimum, for one, I think there's going to be a fire under his ass with the ownership change with that. But on the bare minimum, I think you need to add to the front office. He wears too many hats, man. They need more people in there to help him out and make decisions.
All right, let's go here. Doug, not Dave McMenamin. Anything on my Pistons? Boucher, maybe. The Pistons have been pretty quiet. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to – I mean, I thought they did a nice job replacing Beasley when they got Duncan Robinson, but I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. Like, I think some of the other teams in the East, when we look at the Hawks, maybe the Orlando Magic, I think they've done more. Even the Heat getting Norman Powell, I thought was a steal for them, given what they gave up Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, and they turned him into Norman Powell. Like, they did pretty well too. The Pistons, they didn't exactly stand still, but I kind of hope they would be one of the teams in the East that would say, hey, let's really go for it. And I don't know that they found the move to really go for it here.
Yeah, what did they do? They brought in Robinson, they brought in LeVert, and retained Reed.
And they lost Schroeder. But
lost Schroeder, lost Beasley.
But then what kind of a difference does Jaden Ivey coming back make? I think that's part of what they're banking on, is Jaden Ivey is like a offseason acquisition because of the injury stuff he dealt with.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if there's, like I said last time we talked about it, a little bit of redundancy, adding him back, adding LeVert to the mix. But I like that, and I like the addition of Duncan Robinson. He's probably the best guy you could have added to replace Beasley's production as well. So, yeah, I think that there's some other things that they could do, and I would like the Boucher signing. He's one of the guys I want on several teams, just hypothetically as another big as part of rotations. Yeah. And maybe he's a guy that could fit in there, but I don't know that they've taken that step forward. They haven't done some of the things like we saw, like, the Magic go out and make that big Bane acquisition. Other teams have tried to fill that void that's going to be left by the Celtics and Pacers next season. So I don't know. But ultimately, though, I think they're banking on Ivy and then improved play from guys like Cunningham.
All right, let's go here. Billy said, could Kaminga signing with the Golden State Warriors affect Horford or Melton signing? No, the Warriors will make sure they've got enough flexibility to still sign. It could affect like how much money they've got available for those signings. I think this would take away the full MLE. Love the show. Keep up the hard work. Look, the Warriors,
thank you.
They know Kaminga is not going to be part of their long-term future at this point, or at least that seems to be the point where they're at. And so I don't think they're going to do anything that would prevent them from signing those guys. You know what I mean? Kaminga is the one that's in the tough spot because he's a restricted free agent. There's no place for him to go. The Warriors will make sure they've got the flexibility to sign the guys that they want after they get the Kaminga situation settled. So that's, I wouldn't be worried about that if I'm a Warriors fan, about them getting Horford and Melton. They'll structure things appropriately. And it could be as simple as, hey, if Kaminga gets this, then DeAnthony, you're getting this much. And if he takes this, then you're getting this much. They probably have already had conversations with those guys, or at least they should have, and have an understanding of exactly where they're going to be at. So I would assume that those things are set up ahead of time. And once the Kaminga thing gets done, then Horford and Melton will sign on.
Yep.
And thank you for the kind words there, by the way.
Yes, thanks. We appreciate it. I think we had another one there. Okay.
The new owner said in an interview when he bought the team, Brian Warner said Magic Johnson be in charge of basketball, but is that not true? No. That was never a thing. Mark Walter never said.
Has he even said anything about this sale yet?
I don't think he issued a statement initially, but that was it. Like, okay. Magic commented on it and said it was great and everything, but
okay,
no, I don't think Magic even wants to do that again. Magic,
I think that's a Dodgers relation.
It's a Dodgers relation thing there, but Magic, when he was in charge with the Lakers, like, it just wasn't a fit. Like, not for the Lakers, but for him. Right? Like, he's the guy that wants to be out there talking about everything and talking to everybody. That's Magic. That's always been Magic. He can't do that. He can't be Magic if he's running the team because of the NBA's rules, right, with tampering and all that. It's not a good fit for anybody, including Magic Johnson. And I don't think they're going back down that path. I don't think anyone wants to do that.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think Magic is interested in that either. He said that himself when he left, that he wasn't able to be himself. That's
right,
like one of the
exactly.
main reasons, so.
And it's 100% right. All right, Donnie, I know you got to run. I got to run as well. We appreciate everybody, all the support we've had here at the Basketball Bulletin. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you've not done it so far. And we'll go see. I'm going to head over to the arena in just a little bit. We'll see what the rest of the Summer League games today look like. Should be a lot of fun. If you're in Vegas, stop by, come say hi. But appreciate all of you here for supporting the Basketball Bulletin. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.